sorts of products most people wouldn't think of as sugary at all. So too much refined sugar will cause spiking, which causes mood problems, blood sugar regulation problems, fatigue, weight issues, sleep problems, etc. Now, what many people say is, oh, well, I get the sugar-free varieties. And frankly, I think they are worse. Now, you still have those sugar-free varieties. You have artificial additives, artificial sweeteners, more work for your liver to detoxify. And artificial additives, especially artificial sweeteners, still cause a spiking of blood sugar. And they still have lots of caffeine. Some of the additives, for some people, act as nervous system accelerants. So these sort of artificial additives, for some people, they just constantly put the accelerator on. They find it very difficult to relax. They have problems with anxiety, maybe alternating with depression as they get so fatigued. So these are drinks to avoid.
I like lollies. Is it possible to be addicted to things like sugar?
Well, it can certainly feel like that. So sugar, as I say, it causes that spiking blood sugar. Sugar as well is very acidic. So it makes us urinate out those alkaline minerals, which ensure good digestion, the same minerals we need for sleep, falling asleep and staying asleep, the same minerals we need for neurotransmitters. So, it's definitely not advised. The other point I would make is that on the allergy tests I do for clients, sugar comes up a lot. So it is a very common food intolerance. And this is another reason why we are so attracted to it. So again, we're back to the gut and digestion. If we're not breaking something down, then it becomes inflammatory, it weakens the gut, and then we become overly sensitive to new foods.
What would you recommend to people with a mental illness?
Well, I would recommend a teamwork approach. Now, definitely in crisis, as I say, medications are excellent, but if you're not in crisis, there are so many natural methods you can employ which, instead of having side effects, have side benefits. So I would, number one, I'd regulate blood sugar efficiently. I would go for regular exercise. I would investigate any sort of food sensitivities. I would improve the digestive system. I would make sure that you're not suffering from particular vitamin and mineral deficiencies. And by the way, I don't find blood tests sufficient indicators of that. I use other mechanisms. And I would involve appropriate support people to talk through your issues with.
Oh, that's a great approach to that. Well, thanks very much, Maria.
You're very welcome.
My health improved a lot by following a holistic approach. Here are some of the things that have helped me. A lack of desire is often described as a symptom of depression, but the opposite is also true. A lack of desire will sustain depression. So the first step out of depression is to desire or want something again. So setting a goal will actually keep you going through the tough times. The stronger the desire, the better. The modern diet is not necessarily good for you and can cause you much harm. So avoid sugar, caffeine, junk food, additives and preservatives. Your brain consists for 70% of water, so why pollute it with stuff that's not good for you? Water is best. Aim for an active life. Go for a daily walk or join a sport. Create a routine that will help you wind down before going to sleep. Set an alarm if you need to. It's important to be part of life, so come out of your cave and talk to someone. Each person can teach you something, and a problem shared is a problem halved. Okay, Kerry, a family therapist with 30 years of experience, has some tips for changing destructive habits. Let's go talk to her. Hi Kerry.
Hi, Jano.
What made you decide to become a vegetarian?
I was just a sensitive and soft-hearted wee girl, really, and one day we were sitting down to Sunday lunch, roast meal. It was the 60s, and I noticed this dodgy looking stuff on my plate and said to Mum, what's that? And she said, oh, it's juice. And I thought, no, it's not. And we argued back and forwards a little bit, but I ended up believing my own hunch, and that was pretty much the end of meat for me.
Yeah.
Really.
Oh, good. Did you find it easy to stick to your new habits?
Yeah, I did in regard to, meat and fish and chicken. The only thing was bacon was a bit harder because I loved the taste of it.
Yeah.
So that took me a bit longer, but then I wanted to just be consistent. What's been much more problematic for me really is sugar. The allure of the sweet taste is very strong for me.
Yeah.
So I've kind of realised that I have to protect myself and not have lollies and biscuits and chocolate in the pantry, because I'll just scoff it.
Yeah, fair enough. How come it's so difficult giving up harmful habits and addictions?
The truth of it is that most people enjoy their harmful habits and addictions. They like them, and then those harmful habits get paired with other behaviour that we also really enjoy. So, for example, smoking gets paired with having a break in our day, or drinking gets paired with seeing friends, and then those linkages or associations, there's a multiplying effect, so they make each other stronger, and then they multiply further. So, for example, drinking can get paired with seeing your friends,
Yep.
and smoking, and being disinhibited because of the alcohol, so you feel more confident and able to have fun with your friends and maybe dance or whatever. So it gets stronger and stronger and stronger with every multiple association. And what we have to do is test out having the behaviour that we like without the problematic habit or addiction. So we need to test out having a break and not having a cigarette, seeing our friends and not using substances. So we've got to practice that a bit.
Do you have any other tips?
Yeah, I mean, it's good to know that it takes habits about 30 days of repeated experience for them to embed in us, and that the way our brain works is that it fires off a lot of responses in the first 90 seconds of any impulse, but then the firing diminishes, and so if we can resist something for the first 90 seconds, we're going to have a really good chance of being able to resist it for longer. So you've got to kind of get through things 90 seconds at a time. And that 30-day habit starting thing means that it's going to take at least that amount of time to break a habit. Other good tips are things like what I have to do with myself. Protect yourself by not having the substances that cause you trouble in the house. Enlist the help of your friends. Tell them how you'd like them to support you. And also give yourself personal encouragement like you would to a friend. Say to yourself, you can do it, you'll get there, Rome wasn't built in a day. And when you find yourself backsliding a bit, just remind yourself that you'll overcome it.
Oh, it's a great way of looking at it. How important is it to have some sort of life plan?
Well, I think everybody's a wee bit different about plans and goals. I think they're great, but some people are much more planny than other people. And I think they fall into two main categories. There are plans and goals that we need on a sort of daily or weekly or monthly basis, and then there are long-term goals that help us, that direct us in a certain orientation. And the short-term ones are things like attending to our diet and our fitness and our friendships, and we need all of those, but sometimes if people are feeling pretty unwell, it's very difficult to keep those up, let alone the long-term goals. And in those times, we need people who care about us to keep hold of those hopes for us and remind us that we will get better and those things will be available to us again in the future. I was just going to say that I think, when we're thinking about goals and on those sort of daily ones, it's a really good idea to think back to the things that you loved doing when you were a kid. So, for example, things like lying on the grass and looking at the clouds and making pictures out of them, or looking at the leaves rustling in the trees, or any of those kinds of things, little walks around looking at tidal pools, are things that could have given you a lot of satisfaction and absorption as a child. Those things are really good to put back into your life, particularly in tough times, because they're not very hard to do really, and they will really connect you back into kind of the world. So, and for the longer term goals, it's good to think about again the things that you have wanted to do, which might be driving a car or getting a license or taking a holiday or a little trip or seeing friends. And those bigger goals, or getting a job, you might need somebody to help you figure out the little steps along the way to achieving those goals.
Yeah, great. How important is it to become your own expert?
It's really important. There's tons of great books out there to read, but of course not everybody is a reader and not everybody likes to learn things from books. So talk to other people. There's lots of people who have been down the same path that you have been on, and they will all happily give you their opinion. Of course that gets very bewildering when everybody's giving you their opinion, but you know, you sort your way through all that. I think too that doctors can be a really wonderful source of knowledge and support, and I would always value their input really highly. But remember that a doctor's main job is to help you, you know, lead yourself out of illness toward wellness, and it's each of our jobs to maintain our wellness by paying attention to the things that matter to us.
Good point. How important is it to remain socially active?
Crucially important, crucially important. Friends are vital because they remind us that we matter to somebody, and they also keep us on the straight and narrow. And also the friendships that we build up and the relationships that we build up in our well times help get us through our wobbly times. And of course we are really great for other people in their wobbly times. It's really important to not underestimate the contribution that each of us can make to other people just by giving them a ring or letting them know that we care and take an interest.
Yeah, great. What would you recommend to people with a mental illness?
Understand your sensitivities and your delicacies. Figure out what makes you thrive and what depletes you. And pay attention to all of the aspects of our life. You deserve to have great activity that is meaningful to you. But of course, we don't want too much stress because we know that stress isn't our friend. But we need activities that stretch us. So we need activities in terms of our routines like our fitness and our friendships and our leisure and our learning and our work. So we need to think about all of those various aspects of our life.
Oh, that's great advice. Thanks, Kerry.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it for us. If all you got from this film is crappy diet equals crappy brain, then you're doing well. My challenge to you: for the next 30 days, set a goal to improve your health and share it with someone. Eat healthy, drink water, and avoid sugar, caffeine, junk food, additives and preservatives. And go for a daily walk, which is also great for reflecting. Remember that you're not alone, so don't be afraid to ask for help. Good luck.